And we are live. Welcome to the Rome Show. Got Tony on. How you doing, bro?
What up, Rome? How are you, man? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Finally got you on the podcast.
I know, dude. Yeah, it's been crazy, man. I appreciate the back and forth. It worked out well.
Right. It's like part of the lifestyle.
Yeah, man. It's the creative lifestyle, and plus, I just got a spoiler alert. I got a baby on the way. So
Congrats.
thanks. So I mean, last we tried to do this. We had an impromptu OBGYN visit. So we had to go to the doctor, and everything's fine, everything's healthy, but it was like one of those things where it wasn't in the calendar and I forgot. And yeah, it's weird to implement these new things into your life, especially because, as you know, being like an entrepreneur and a creator and podcast, is just you always like kind of like go 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 and doing a bunch of side hustles, and I need to like relax because I gotta these doctor's appointments are like important, and there's so many moving parts, and it's weird getting used to, but it's fun.
Yeah. So you got a lot going on. Podcast
Yeah.
coach, entrepreneur, you know. How did it all get started?
Oh man, shit. How much time we got? Um, so I was in corporate America for 9 to 5, the huge, uh, pretty much my whole life. I mean, ever since I was uh 16, 17, I got my first gig at a movie theater. Being the popcorn guy, the guy behind there scooping your popcorn and being at the register and shit. And then ever since then, I moved up the ladder. I got promoted, and then I ended up being in the health industry. And I was a personal trainer for a while, and um, I really kind of got a taste for entrepreneur leadership, that type of mentality when I was a trainer because there was two gigs, right? Like you can work a salary job, and you're a personal trainer and you're in sales, and if you ever go to like a big gym, like I worked at LA Fitness, when you go to those big gyms, typically you get sold the membership. And then when you're working out, you might have a dude or a dudette walking around the gym asking, "Hey man, you need help spotting?" And they worked at the gym. Well, those dudes, they don't really want to help you. That's what I used to do. They used to walk up, they used to help you with a couple sets, give you some advice, and be like, "Hey, by the way, I'm a trainer. Just come over, man. I'll give you a free session." You get them in with that free session at first, and then bam, you get their credit card and you get them on a monthly payment to train. So that was like one gig, which I wasn't a fan of doing. I didn't like that because I hate when people talk to me when I work out. So I was like, let me just do this shit on the side. Let me just tell people, hey man, if you want to train, I'll come to your gym, or if you want to come here, we could do that. We could do it at home. Like I got a gym at home. Here's my business card. Let's do it. And then I was like, that side hustle, like that one-on-one interaction and like going out and getting business with, local entrepreneurs and local businesses in there and just handing out my card and getting to know people and building a community. I was like, I like this shit. So I did that for a few years. That was cool, but unfortunately, doesn't pay the bills. It was a lot of work at that age, and I was trying to go to college too. So then I got a job at corporate world with Coca-Cola, and then eventually with Monster Energy, and I was there for over a decade in the marketing department. And again, a lot of fun, a lot of experience working with big names and athletes and contracts and events and monster girls. That was fun. Um, but unfortunately, long story short, the corporate world wasn't for me because they didn't like that I had my own podcast. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and I got slapped on the hand a couple times, and they said, "Hey, listen, man, it's we love you. It's I got promoted numerous times. I was I was high end on the marketing department, and they said, but can't really do the podcast. So
Wow.
you can't really have sponsors, because the sponsors I had like Athletic Greens and some other sponsors and stuff, they're a beverage, they're not a competitor, but because they're a beverage, they felt that I should only be promoting Monster Energy and no other beverage. And I'm like, we're going to have a problem here. So that's when I was like, all right, I need to do my own thing because I've wanted to do my own thing. I've had the podcast at this point for 3 years. And I'm like, as you know, right? Like having the podcast and meeting people, it's like one of the best things that I've done in my life, even though it doesn't pay the bills by any means. But when you forget about things like that and you focus on like your passion and what you really love to do, and then you couple that with I had a really bad health scare last year, where I had a tumor in my lung. Thank God it wasn't cancerous, but I had to get surgery, and now I have a third of my right lung removed. that shit'll wake you up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've dealt with any type of health scare or family scare or anything like that, but that shit'll fucking it'll mess with you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I'm like, if I got to take a pay cut, I was making over 100 grand at these companies. If I'm making 50 grand, I gotta eat out less, right? I gotta get a different car. I can't go out partying as much. Like, if I got to downsize and make half the amount of money, but not work for a corporation that's telling me I have a glass ceiling and there's limitations, I'd rather do that. I'd rather make 50K a year, go out less, party less, but be happy and content and excited about what I'm doing. So here we are a year later, and yeah, I made the right decision. I'm stoked.
Right.
So
Yeah. That's a lot. I mean, I have
yeah, sorry.
a lot.
I just gave you fucking 2 decades of, but that's it, man. That's how it started. So
Yeah. Yeah. I had experienced like a serious bad car accident, and I was right
mm,
on my way to like getting like that big radio job. I was right
whoa.
there, and then like the day I was supposed to go,
Mhm.
I got into a car accident that morning. So I was like, it was screwed.
Whoa. On the way there?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it was like,
Yeah.
okay,
How long ago was that?
this was about, I want to say about 5 years ago. That's
Oh,
how I got
wow.
into podcasting too.
No way.
Yeah.
So that woke you up, no?
Yeah. Man, I didn't break nothing, but like when I woke
Sure.
up the next morning, I couldn't even move.
Yeah.
I was like, super sore. I had to do therapy for like 6 months.
Mm,
Within that 6 months, I'm like, damn, what am I about to do?
for real.
Yeah.
No, good for you, man. And I'm assuming you made the right decision, right? You're happier with the decision you made?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, kinda. Yeah, it's one of those things, man, where it's like, it's just and now that I have a kid on the way, it it's hard to take because we're told for so many years, right? Like, more years we're told that we should do this one thing,
Mhm.
and when you don't do that one thing, it's scary because it's not what you've been told for 20 years.
Right.
But when you finally do it and then you realize that you don't need a lot, and you cut out all the noise, it's easier. I if you're one of those people that it's really difficult, to not get the new iPhone every year and to not have the BMW, and, you want the big house, and then, you need to go work your ass off and have a job that pays $250,000 a year. But everyone's bitching and complaining about inflation and gas prices and all that. None of that matters if you don't have all the bullshit that you're spending money on. If you have 10 streaming services on TV, but you only watch Netflix, you have a problem. Like, it's not America that's costing a lot of money. It's you. You spend too much money on dumb shit. And when you forget about that stuff, you don't need a lot. Like, when you break it down, the average American, I think there's 8 billion people on the planet. But if you just break down the US as a whole, the average person makes 32 grand a year. So does that mean you should be making 30? No, of course not. It's hard to live, but you can live off 32 grand a year. You can. You just won't have the new iPhone. You won't have a brand new car. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go out drinking every night with your friends. But dude, you're gonna be a lot happier, you know what I mean? And we only get so much time on this planet. It's like we can't always think about money. It's just hard though to get that out of your head, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Super, super. You got a good story, bro. So working for like marketing for like a corporate like Monster stuff like that. I'm pretty sure you learned some stuff, correct?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, prior to working at Monster, that I didn't leave out just because I don't want to, tell you too much of my story, so we don't have time for that. Maybe another time. But I mean, I owned my own marketing firm before I went into corporate, and I ended up partnering up with a buddy and sold it to make some good money. But I was in my 20s, you know what I mean? So I didn't really know what I was doing too much. But it was fun, and I learned a lot. And then I kind of took that experience into Monster Energy. And yeah, you definitely learned a ton, not just on the marketing side, but for everything. I mean, this was the perfect time because social media, of course, was ramping up when I was there. TikTok hasn't even started yet. So Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff was important. So I learned a lot about content, and it actually elevated my podcast a lot more in terms of like how I wanted to create content, and I appreciated content more. and vertical clips and like all that type of stuff. And of course, marketing as a whole, right? Like how to get out to the masses, whether that's mass advertising or billboards or radio or commercial. I was just immersed in everything. And it's helped me launch my own company. So now not only do I have my content business, but my wife and I own our own business where it's a date night subscription service. So, like you got a girl, wife, spouse, boyfriend, husband.
I got a wife.
Congrats, I think.
Thank you.
But so if you don't know what to do with date night, we have an entire business dedicated to creating themed date night boxes. So you get a new themed date night every month. So we created that during the pandemic, and that's going really, really well. But a lot of the tools I use for that business, I learned from my previous work in the corporate world. So I don't want to bash corporate because there's so many great benefits to working for a corporate job.
Absolutely.
But I think when it seems like from my page and the little amount I've talked to you, it seems like you're very entrepreneur. You have that kind of leadership mentality.
Yeah.
You can't really express it so much at a corporate job. Most companies, like if you worked at Meta or Google, one of those big, massive tech companies, you'll get laid off if you even try to reach out to Zuckerberg and pitch an idea. But it might be the best idea they've ever seen. But because you're not in that pay grade, they're not going to listen to you. So that kind of was the challenge to me because I'm just not fit for that world. I might eventually work for a corporation again, but I mean, as of now, I'm super happy because if I want to try something out, I could try it. If I want to experiment a little bit and take risks, and I could do that without repercussions. So
it's fire, bro. So you and your wife got your own online like dating app for people.
Yeah, not necessarily a dating app, but it's mainly for spouses already. So if you're like you and the wife, if you don't know what date night to do, I'll give you an example of one of our products. I got one here actually. So this is called the Meet Cute deck. So it's literally a deck of cards that if you don't know what to do for date night, you just put this like maybe in the living room or something. And then let's pick a date. Maybe you and the wife could do this. Here you go. You ready? So randomly, just pick a date. What's this say? So this is called TikTok. Okay. So the date night it's called a time capsule challenge. So grab a mason jar or a box that's big enough to hold 2 to 4 items. Each of you select up to 2 items each that are important to each of you. Seal it up in a container and then set an alarm for 365 days. Open it next year for a time capsule challenge, and then share your thoughts with each other. So it's something a little bit unique. It doesn't take a long time. Like this one only takes 15 to 30 minutes, but I have ones that are up to a day, sometimes a whole weekend, like a weekend getaways in here. So these little date nights, you get 50 date nights in this deck of cards. And that's just kind of something we just launched. We have other products as well, but it's that type of stuff that we've done for years. We've done this type of shit for years, not making our own products, but we've done these date nights and stuff like that. And we're like, we should just make a business about this because this was during the pandemic when things were kind of funky and you couldn't go out to dinner, right? Because like places were closed. Yeah. So like, what can we do at home that's like fun, unique, and different? And we ended up coming up with this whole business idea, and it just continues to grow. And we innovate and come up with ideas to make date nights exciting for married couples and girlfriends, boyfriends. So it's fun, dude. It's a good time for sure.
It's real fire.
Thanks, man. And we're only a year old, so hopefully we'll continue to grow this business. We just hit our 1-year anniversary, so we'll see where it goes, man.
Hope it blows up, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
all the Targets, all the Walmarts.
Dude, that's the goal, man, for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna get it on Amazon and Etsy first, and then hopefully we can blow it up. Maybe go on Shark Tank in a couple of years. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Yeah, buddy.
Got an amazing story, man. How's the podcasting going? Podcast manager life.
It's good, man. Thanks. Yeah, it's I just started ramping this up, like I said, about a year ago, and I've had my podcast for almost 3 years. I'm at like episode 200 and some change, I think, and it's great, man. Podcasting is probably, as just talking with people, like even talking with yourself and getting to know you a little bit. Like some of the best friendships that I've had over the years are people that I've never even met in person. It's only like virtual with this. So I did some studio podcasts, and I did that before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic hit, of course, everything went virtual. So I do like my podcast, like you're doing yours. I do it all virtually now, which kind of sucks, but it's kind of cool because it just helps us out. Like, I'm in Florida, so it's not like we can meet up tonight anyway and do a podcast face to face. So
Right.
it's cool that we can do this. But I enjoy the face to face studio style podcast, which I love to know more about the broadcasting stuff you do. But it's great, man, just because I love meeting people and I love talking about the topics that we talk about on my show, which is it's how you can be financially, physically, and mentally healthy. That's kind of the three pillars: finance, physical, and mental health. And these are obviously topics that I've been passionate about for a long time, but I bring in guests from various uh, uh, experts, excuse me, in various fields, and we talk about that stuff. And it's cool to get messages and DMs from people that are like, "Hey, man, I heard episode like 150, and you talked about how to sleep better," and and it's just when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, dude, that's even though it doesn't pay the bills, like I can't do it full time, but that's cool shit. When people love the podcast and they love the episode, and that passion kind of motivated me to create my own content business, which I talked about. And that's where I'm a podcast coach, where I'll teach podcasts not just to grow and how they can grow through SEO and through website building and video content, because that's obviously the key, right? Like with TikTok in particular, all
Yeah.
this vertical content. A lot of podcasters don't know how to reallocate time and cut up those videos into vertical content, and more importantly, make it high quality and good enough to where people are going to want to watch it. Because
Right.
there's a lot of like AI shit out there that you can plug in your website and it creates these video clips. But like a lot of AI stuff right now, it's just there's no personal touch to it. It doesn't know what your audience wants to see. So I work with the creators and the podcasters to really make sure that we can create video clips that are authentic to their brand and their channel, and then we post it on all their platforms. So I'm really enjoying that. It's pretty new. Of course, I got a lot going on, so I wish I could spend more time on it. But that's the goal, kind of with all these side hustles and businesses, to where I want to make sure they're sufficient and we can get some good capital going, so that way I can reallocate some funds into more podcasting, get a nice studio, and partner up with somebody that's local that kind of shares my same enthusiasm for the medium, because I don't think podcasting is going anywhere, right? Like, yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere. So I'm like, I'm going to go all in on this thing because it's got potential for sure.
Absolutely. Sure does.
Yeah.
I
Like,
feel like go ahead.
I was going to say, because for you, are you primarily podcasting, or are you also doing broadcasting as well?
Yeah, I do both.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're obviously seeing the switch, right? Like a lot of channels are converting to podcasts,
Yeah.
right? So there's a reason.
Right. I seen probably about more freedom. You know,
Mm,
you
hmm.
can set your time, set your schedules. It's all
For
on
sure.
you.
That's right. Yeah. And not only that, but it's all on you as the host, but it's all on you as the listener too.
Yep.
Right? Like that's the key, is no one really cares too much about live broadcast anymore. They don't want to tune into 96.5 The Rock. Like no one really cares about that. It's like if I'm on the way to work and I can listen to a station, cool. If I can't, no worries. So that's why these apps like iHeartMedia and Spotify, they're blowing up so much, because it gives you the freedom to listen to those radio stations, those broadcast stations that you always love, but on your own time, and it's not live. So if you like miss a song, like I remember back in, like, how old are you?
30.
Okay, so I'm 37. So like back in the day, you would have to do like these little contests and listen in at a certain time, and they still do that, of course, right? But it's like now I look in my 30s, when am I ever going to be on the road able to do that type of stuff? Like when am I ever going to pull over and just listen to a song because it came on at a certain time? Like I don't have the craving for music that I used to anymore. I don't think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people crave more authentic, real like podcast content, or if it's a song they want to listen to. I don't think people are in the mode anymore of turning on a station and just hoping that it's a song or a station that they like anymore. We have everything we want at our fingertips. So that's, I think, why radio is dying so much. And I don't mean radio as in like broadcasting as a whole, because I think that's going to be around for a while. But you look at like music where it's at now.
Yeah.
You know, it's you listen to music that you want to listen to. You don't want to just be surprised on the radio. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So as far as your content business, how's that? How'd you get it started?
It's good, man. I mean, it's the same thing that when I left Monster, I decided that I wanted to do the podcasting space. So when I hopped into being a podcast coach, and I started getting a lot of brand deals from like different brands that just liked how my content looked and how my audio was. So I started doing voiceover work and what's called UGC, which I don't know if you're familiar with that space.
It sounds familiar. UGC.
Yes. So it's user generated content. It's like essentially when you look at like unboxing videos on TikTok,
Hmm.
that's what they call UGC, except there's a lot of different mediums and themes to it. There's unboxing videos, there's ASMR videos, there's how to tutorials, reviews, testimonials. So there's all these different facets of the business. So for the past year, I've really worked hard to study all those and get really, really good at them. Work with a lot of brands for free or at low cost, to where now I have a really nice portfolio and I'm able to charge premium prices and premium rates to these big brands. So I've worked with brands like Rise Mushroom Coffee, Four Sigmatic, Athletic Greens, just a ton of other great brands and some big Fortune 500 companies. So that's been really rewarding. And I think I'm going to continue to do that because, again, like we talked about with podcasting, the content space is not going anywhere. And I think brands are starting to understand that they don't want to do billboards anymore. They don't want to do TV commercials. They'd rather just pay a Joe Schmo like you or me to create a little 30-second clip, and they'll put that on social media as a paid ad. And they're going to, gain more business that way than they are a TV commercial. And it costs a fraction of the price. So that's going really well. That's the bulk of my business, is creating videos for brands. So it's fun, man. It's very rewarding. And again, just a lot of contacts. That's the key, is just making connections throughout the years, right? As you know, it's all about talking to people, building a community, and then getting to know people. And then down the road, collaborating with those creators and brands and eventually helping each other grow. That's the key. There's plenty of money out there for everybody. So the more hands I could touch, I'm excited.
Right, man. Doing a lot of good things, man. I love it.
Thank you, man.
I like to ask all my guests a motivational question.
Ooh.
Right. So, what's a few things that you do? You wake up not really feeling it. You know, I know you work out, but like, what's a few other things you do to make yourself feel like back on, like I'm ready to crush today?
Yeah, like first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
I do a lot of affirmations. So I'm a big believer in self-talk. If you're familiar with self-talk,
Absolutely.
yeah. So a lot of people, whether you're, eh, religious or not, I think there's a lot of pros and cons with religion. The biggest pro I would say is having faith. Right, faith's a word, not necessarily a religious word, but to have faith. And I realized it's good to have faith in a higher power. Sure, me, I found just with my life personally, it's better to have faith with yourself. And the mind is so powerful, and it could talk. And again, this is all stemming from, I didn't used to do this, but when I had that lung surgery and I thought it was cancer and I wasn't going to live very long, I told myself, every day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be grateful for what's going on in my life. And I'm going to wake up and talk myself out of it. Because every day you're going to wake up, you're not going to want to do anything.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because sleeping in bed and watching TV is way better than working. It just is. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Joe Rogan or Jocko Willink. Like, it's better to lay in bed. But you got to get yourself in a routine, because once you're in that routine, then doing that routine is better than being in bed because you understand it. But it's hard for people to get in that routine. So what I found works best for me is just that self-talk, talking myself out of the shitty thing that I'm going to do today and saying I can do it, because not only am I better than I think I am, but the better that I get and the better I become and the stronger I am, the stronger my family's going to be, the stronger my community is going to be, right? The longer we're going to live a happier, healthier life. And then when you look around and you see your community or friends or your family, that's kind of what motivated me, is because the less stuff I do, right, on a daily basis, the less they get. The more I do, the more they get. The more positive I am, the more positive they're going to be. Like, you're very contagious, and you just got to talk yourself into it, and you got to be positive. And it's through repetition, right? It's not going to be like this every day, but if you can get on a routine and do it for 30 days, you're going to see a huge difference in your life. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I would say to anybody. Just get up and just talk to yourself. Don't look in the mirror. That's easy. I just sit in a room, close my eyes, and I talk to myself. Straight positive talk.
Now, when you say you talk to yourself, is it like you have a conversation out loud with yourself, or you just thinking?
Conversation.
I thought I was the
Yeah.
only one that do that.
Yeah. My man. Yeah,
Okay.
man, that's it. Positive conversations to yourself. Because your body is and your mind is it's more powerful than we think. And there's this affirmation I've been doing ever since I had that surgery. And it's I've seen incredible results from it. Yeah.
I call them self meetings.
I like that. Self meeting. That's better. I'm stealing that for sure. That's better than self talk. I like it. Self meeting. Do you do it in the morning or do you do it at night? When do you do it?
Honestly, I do it every morning. I catch myself doing it at nighttime before I go to bed, or like if I'm just taking a ride when I get out of work.
That's
It'll just hit
awesome.
me. It's like, okay, quick self meeting, real quick.
That's awesome, man. Especially in silence, right? I would imagine there's silence, no music or anything.
Yeah, I need silence.
It's fascinating what your body can go through in silence because it's terrifying at first.
Right.
Because you start thinking about like your to do list and like all that shit, right? But when you just like talk to yourself, silence, and then you just give yourself this pep talk or have these conversations, it's cool, man. It's because then your mind goes in these like weird positive places. Eventually, if you do it enough, and you get in this routine of like doing it. And then, I have this affirmation where I talk about money and how money's always finding me and, money's always seeking me and I don't need money. Money needs me, like these type of conversations. And, I don't have a lot of money. Like I made more money in corporate, but what I found was the money is kind of getting me through what I need. And then it's just enough money to where I can enjoy my life, but not be stressed out about work, right? Like, because sometimes we always think if you make six figures or you make $500,000, like you're going to have less stress. No, you'll actually have more stress. If you talk to people with money, like I know friends that are millionaires, they have more stress than I do. I don't need that. Who needs that? Why? Just so I could buy a Lambo? I don't need a Lambo. I'm fine. Like, but having these like little like pep talks and self talks and self meetings, I like that. Yeah, dude, it makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah, definitely good advice, man. That's big.
Thanks, man.
Big
Yeah,
advice.
you too, buddy. I'm taking that shit for sure. So, by the way, we're too late, but am I okay to curse on here?
Yeah, it's all good.
Even though it's over and I threw out a bunch of bombs? All right, cool.
Yeah, bro. I really, really appreciate this. Maybe we could do another episode soon.
Hell yeah, man. No, this was fun. Yeah, now that we're on a track, and this is always a good time for me too. So, I usually wrap up my day around 4. So if you ever want to do something after 4 p.m., man, I'm all game, bro. You let me know. And I'd love to have you on my show too.
Let's
So
do that. Let's do
yeah,
that.
whenever you get some free time, and I'll help you out, put you on there.
All right. I'll send you a DM, bro. Thanks
My,
again.
my man. All right, Rome, take it easy, brother.
All right, Tony. Take care, bro.
All right, later.
All right. Peace.